Stop scrolling right now and check your pocket change, because one small Washington quarter could be worth a serious amount of money. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932, and some rare dates, mint marks, and errors are now among the most valuable U.S. coins ever found in circulation. The 1932 D and 1932 S Washington quarters are the key dates collectors hunt for, with high-grade examples selling for thousands of dollars. Silver Washington quarters minted from 1932 to 1964 contain 90% silver, making them valuable even without rare errors. But the real hidden fortunes come from error coins like the 1943 double-die obverse, off-center strikes, and quarters struck on the wrong planchet, which can be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Many people spend these rare quarters without realizing their true value. Before you ignore that quarter in your pocket, check the date, mint mark, and condition carefully. That ordinary-looking Washington quarter could be a rare collectible worth far more than 25 cents. Coin number 1. Before you skip this video, take a second and think about the loose change in your pocket or the coins sitting quietly in a drawer at home. One of the most common U.S. coins ever made, the Washington quarter, especially the 1972 issue, may look ordinary at first glance, but certain examples can be far more valuable than people realize. Today we are diving deep into the history, value, errors, varieties, and collector demand of the 1972 Washington quarter dollar coin from the United States, a coin that millions overlook every single day. The Washington quarter was introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, this iconic coin replaced the standing Liberty quarter and quickly became a staple of American commerce. By 1972, the Washington quarter had already been circulating for 4 decades, and the design had become one of the most recognizable images in U.S. coinage. The obverse features a left-facing portrait of George Washington with the word "Liberty" at the top, the phrase "In God We Trust" to the left, and the date 1972 beneath Washington's chin. The reverse shows a proud heraldic eagle with outstretched wings, perched above a bundle of arrows and framed by olive branches, symbolizing strength and peace. The 1972 Washington quarter was struck during a time when U.S. coinage had fully transitioned away from silver. Unlike quarters minted before 1965, which contain 90% silver, the 1972 quarter is a copper-nickel-clad coin. It has an outer layer of copper-nickel bonded to a pure copper core. The coin weighs approximately 5.67 grams, has a diameter of 24.3 millimeters, and features a reeded edge. Even though it contains no silver, its value today can still be significant depending on condition and errors. In 1972, Washington quarters were minted at 2 main locations, Philadelphia and Denver. Coins struck in Philadelphia do not carry a mint mark, while those produced in Denver feature a small D mint mark on the obverse, just to the right of the ribbon tying Washington's hair. Mintages were extremely high in 1972, with hundreds of millions of quarters produced to meet circulation demand. Because of this, most worn examples found in pocket change are worth only their face value of 25 cents. However, that is only part of the story. The real interest in the 1972 Washington quarter comes from uncirculated examples, well-preserved coins, and especially error coins. Collectors are always searching for high-quality pieces with strong strikes, original luster, and minimal marks. A 1972 quarter that never entered circulation and still retains its brilliant mint luster can be worth several dollars or more, even without any errors. The better the condition, the higher the value, particularly when the coin shows sharp details in Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers. One of the most exciting aspects of the 1972 Washington quarter is the variety of minting errors that can dramatically increase its value. Error coins are created during the minting process and are highly collectible due to their uniqueness. One common and popular error is the off-center strike. These coins were struck improperly, resulting in a design that is shifted to one side. If the date and mint mark are still visible, off-center 1972 quarters can command strong prices from collectors. Another valuable error to look for is a double die. Double die errors occur when the coin die receives a misaligned second impression, causing parts of the design to appear doubled. On 1972 quarters, doubling may be visible on the date, the word Liberty, or the motto "In God We Trust." Genuine double-die examples can be worth many times more than a normal coin, especially when the doubling is bold and easy to see without magnification. Clipped planchet errors are also known to exist on 1972 Washington quarters. These occur when the metal blank is improperly cut before striking, leaving a curved or straight missing section along the edge of the coin. These errors are dramatic and instantly recognizable, making them very desirable to collectors. The larger and more visually appealing the clip, the higher the potential value. Another error worth watching for is a broad strike. A broad strike happens when the coin is struck without the retaining collar, causing it to spread out and appear wider than normal with a distorted edge. Broad-struck 1972 quarters often show a flattened rim and expanded diameter, making them stand out immediately. These errors are collectible and can sell for a premium depending on condition. There are also cases of wrong planchet errors, where a 1972 quarter was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a different coin denomination. These errors are rare and highly valuable, especially if confirmed by weight and size differences. Such coins can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars due to their scarcity. Condition plays a massive role in determining the value of a 1972 Washington quarter. Most examples found in circulation today show wear on Washington's hair, flattening of the eagle's chest feathers, and loss of detail on the rim. These coins typically trade at face value. However, coins with sharp details, full rims, and original shine are much harder to find and far more desirable. Collectors often pay strong premiums for coins that look nearly as fresh as the day they were minted. Another factor that adds appeal to the 1972 quarter is its place in U.S. history. This coin was produced during a time of major cultural and political change in the United States. The early 1970s were marked by the Vietnam War, the space race, and economic shifts that reshaped American society. Coins from this era are tangible pieces of history that connect us to everyday life during that time. Many people underestimate modern-era coins, assuming that only silver or gold coins can be valuable. The 1972 Washington quarter proves that this is not always true. While most examples are common, the right coin in the right condition can be a hidden gem. That is why collectors always recommend checking your change carefully, especially older quarters that still show strong detail and shine. If you are searching for valuable 1972 Washington quarters, pay close attention to the strike quality. Weak strikes are common on some coins from this era, particularly on the eagle's breast feathers. Coins with unusually sharp details may stand out as better than average examples and attract collector interest. Also inspect the edges carefully for signs of errors, missing reeds, or unusual shapes. Storage and handling are also important if you believe you have found a special 1972 quarter. Avoid cleaning the coin, as cleaning can severely reduce its value. Instead, store it in a protective holder and handle it by the edges only. Original surfaces and natural toning are highly valued by collectors. As interest in coin collecting continues to grow, especially online and on platforms like YouTube, demand for high-quality examples and error coins remains strong. Videos showcasing rare and valuable error coins often attract thousands of views, proving that everyday coins like the Washington quarter still fascinate collectors around the world. In conclusion, the 1972 Washington quarter dollar coin from the United States may seem ordinary, but it has much more to offer than meets the eye. While most are worth face value, uncirculated examples, details, you may discover that a simple quarter in your collection or pocket change is actually a valuable piece of American numismatic history. Coin number 2. Before you skip this video or drop your spare change on the counter, take a moment to listen, because the 1974 Washington quarter you might be carrying right now could be far more interesting and valuable than most people realize. Many collectors overlook this coin because it looks common at first glance, but hidden behind its everyday appearance is a fascinating story of American history, minting errors, and collector demand that continues to grow year after year. The Washington quarter has been a symbol of American pride since its introduction in 1932, honoring George Washington on the 200th anniversary of his birth. By the time 1974 arrived, the United States was going through a period of economic uncertainty, inflation, and major social change. Coinage during this era reflected both practicality and mass production, and the 1974 Washington quarter is a perfect example of that moment in time. The D mint mark on this coin tells us it was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the most productive mints in the country. In 1974, the Denver Mint produced an extremely high number of Washington quarters, with mintages exceeding 350 million coins. Because of this massive production, many people assume the coin has little to no value beyond face value. However, that assumption is exactly what causes valuable examples to be missed. The 1974 D Washington quarter is composed of a copper-nickel-clad structure, consisting of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. This composition replaced silver quarters in 1965, making coins like the 1974 D a symbol of modern US coinage. While it contains no silver, collectors still actively search for this date due to condition rarity and minting mistakes. On the obverse of the coin, you'll see a left-facing portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. The word "Liberty" appears across the top, while "In God We Trust" is displayed to the left of Washington's neck. The date, 1974, sits at the bottom. On high-quality examples, the details in Washington's hair, cheekbone, and jawline appear sharp and well-defined. Coins with weak strikes or excessive wear will show flatness in these areas, reducing their desirability. Flip the coin over and you'll find the iconic bald eagle design, wings spread wide, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches below. The inscriptions, United States of America, and E Pluribus Unum, surround the eagle, with $quarter displayed at the bottom. On Denver minted coins, the small D mint mark is located on the obverse, just to the right of Washington's ponytail ribbon. Most 1974 D quarters found in circulation today are heavily worn, scratched, or damaged from decades of use. These coins usually carry no premium. However, collectors are not looking for average examples. They are searching for coins in exceptional condition, especially those that show strong luster, clean surfaces, and sharp strikes. Coins that appear almost untouched by circulation are becoming increasingly difficult to find. One of the biggest reasons the 1974 D Washington quarter is popular among collectors is the presence of mint errors and varieties. During the 1970s, coins were produced rapidly to meet demand, which increased the likelihood of mistakes slipping through. Some of these errors can dramatically increase the value of the coin. One notable error to look for is a double die. This occurs when the coin die receives multiple impressions at slightly different angles, causing doubling on letters or numbers. On a 1974 D quarter, doubling may be visible in the date, the word "Liberty," or "In God We Trust." These doubled features can range from subtle to very strong, and even minor doubling can attract collector interest. Another valuable error is an off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank is not properly aligned during the striking process. As a result, part of the design may be missing, and the blank edge may be visible. Off-center 1974 D quarters that still show a full date are especially desirable. Clipped planchette errors are also found on some 1974 D quarters. These occur when the metal strip used to punch coin blanks is misaligned, causing a curved or straight piece of the coin to be missing. Authentic clips often show metal flow along the edge, confirming they occurred during the minting process. Die cracks and die breaks are another category collectors watch closely. As dies wear down from heavy use, cracks can form, transferring raised lines onto the coin. Some 1974 D quarters show dramatic cracks that run across the design, making each example unique. Larger die breaks, sometimes called cuds, can significantly raise the coin's value. There are also examples of 1974 D quarters struck on the wrong planchette, though these are extremely rare. A quarter accidentally struck on a dime or foreign coin blank would weigh differently and appear noticeably unusual. These error coins are highly sought after and can command substantial prices. Condition plays a massive role in value. Because so many 1974 D quarters were produced, only the very best examples stand out. Coins with strong mint luster, no major marks, and crisp details are far scarcer than most people realize. Over time, many uncirculated coins were spent or mishandled, reducing the surviving population of top-quality pieces. Another factor driving interest in the 1974 D Washington quarter is nostalgia. Coins from the 1970s remind collectors of a unique era in American history. This emotional connection has helped fuel demand for well-preserved examples, especially as more people enter the hobby through pocket change hunting. If you're searching for a valuable 1974 D quarter, start by checking the coin's weight, edge, and overall appearance. Look closely under good lighting for doubling, cracks, or unusual features. Even small details can make a big difference. Always compare your coin to known examples and trust your observation skills. Storage is also important. If you believe you've found a high-quality or unusual 1974 D quarter, avoid cleaning it. Cleaning can permanently damage the surface and reduce its value. Instead, store it in a protective holder to prevent further wear. The 1974 D Washington quarter proves that value isn't always about silver or low mintage numbers. Sometimes, it's about survival, condition, and the story behind the coin. What most people see as ordinary change, collectors see as an opportunity. Coin number 3. Before you scroll away or spend that quarter, stop for a moment, because the 1989 D Washington quarter might look ordinary, but it has a story, value potential, and collector interest that many people completely overlook. Millions of these quarters pass through everyday hands, yet certain examples are becoming harder to find, especially in high condition. Today we are diving deep into the history, design, minting details, errors, varieties, and real collector value of the 1989 D Washington quarter dollar from the United States. The Washington Quarter series is one of the most recognized coin designs in American history. First introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington, the design became a permanent part of USCoinX in 1934. By the time 1989 arrived, the Washington Quarter had already become a symbol of everyday American commerce, used by nearly every household in the country. The 1989 D quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark located on the obverse side near Washington's ponytail. During 1989, the U.S. Mint produced quarters for circulation in massive quantities, yet not all of them survived in pristine condition. The Denver Mint alone struck hundreds of millions of quarters that year, making this coin common in circulated condition but far more challenging to locate in strong uncirculated examples. The obverse of the 1989 D Washington quarter features John Flanagan's classic portrait of George Washington. His profile faces left, with sharp details in the hair, cheekbone, and jawline when the coin is well preserved. Above Washington's head is the word Liberty, while the national motto, In God We Trust, appears to the left. The year, 1989, is clearly displayed at the bottom, just above the rim. On high-quality examples, the lettering is bold and the rim is full and even. Turning the coin over, the reverse displays a proud American eagle with outstretched wings, clutching a bundle of arrows to symbolize strength and readiness, along with olive branches representing peace. Above the eagle is the inscription, United States of America, while E Pluribus Unum appears just below. At the bottom, the denomination, quarter dollar, completes the design. Strong feather detail on the eagle is one of the key indicators collectors look for when evaluating this coin. The 1989 D Washington quarter is composed of a copper-nickel-clad structure, consisting of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. The coin weighs approximately 5.67 grams and has a diameter of 24.3 millimeters. While it does not contain silver, its value lies in condition, strike quality, and collectible demand rather than precious metal content. In everyday circulated condition, most 1989 D quarters are worth face value. However, this changes dramatically when condition improves. Uncirculated examples with strong luster, minimal contact marks, and sharp details are far less common than many people realize. Coins that spent decades in pockets, cash registers, and vending machines often show wear, making high-grade survivors increasingly desirable. One of the biggest factors influencing value for the 1989 D quarter is strike quality. Some coins from this year were weakly struck, especially on Washington's hair and the eagle's chest feathers. Collectors actively seek examples with full detail and strong definition, and these coins often command premium prices compared to average strikes. Mint errors add another layer of interest to the 1989 D Washington quarter. Off-center strikes, double strikes, clipped planches, and broad strikes are all known within the Washington Quarter series. Even small errors such as misaligned dies or die cracks can significantly increase a coin's value, especially when the error is clear and visually dramatic. One particularly interesting area for collectors is double die varieties. These occur when the die used to strike the coin receives a misaligned impression during its creation, causing doubling in letters or numbers. On some Washington quarters, doubling can be seen in God We Trust, Liberty, or the date. While major double die varieties are rare for 1989, minor doubling still attracts collector attention and premium pricing. Another collectible aspect is luster. Original mint luster on a 1989 quarter appears as a bright, cartwheel-like shine that moves across the surface when tilted under light. Coins that retain this original luster without dulling or discoloration are especially appealing to collectors and are often set aside for long-term holding. As the years pass, collectors are paying more attention to modern-era coins from the 1980s and 1990s. Many people assume these coins are too new to be valuable, but the reality is that saving high-quality examples was not common at the time. This makes top-condition coins scarcer than mintage numbers alone would suggest. The 1989 Washington Quarter also holds educational value. It represents the final decade before the dramatic redesign of the quarter series with the introduction of the state quarters program in 1999. Coins like this mark the end of an era in U.S. circulating coinage, which adds historical significance beyond face value. Collectors building date and mint sets of Washington quarters often seek the best examples they can find for each year. In these sets, even common dates like 1989 become important pieces, especially when they exhibit above-average quality. Demand from these collectors helps support long-term value growth. Storage and preservation are crucial if you believe you have a high-quality 1989 quarter. Avoid cleaning the coin, as cleaning can permanently damage the surface and drastically reduce collector value. Instead, store the coin in a protective holder to prevent scratches, fingerprints, and environmental damage. Searching pocket change, old jars, and rolls from banks remains one of the best ways to find better-than-average examples. While most will be worn, occasionally a bright, well-struck coin appears that stands out immediately. Those are the coins worth setting aside and examining more closely. In today's coin market, interest in Washington quarters continues to grow, especially among new collectors who appreciate affordable entry points. The 1989 quarter offers a perfect balance of accessibility and collectible potential, making it a smart choice for both beginners and experienced hobbyists. So the next time you come across a 1989 Washington quarter, don't dismiss it as just spare change. Look closely at the details, check the strike, inspect the surfaces, and pay attention to overall quality. What seems ordinary at first glance could be a valuable addition to a growing coin collection. Coin number 4. Before you scroll past this video, take a moment and check your pocket change, your old coin jar, or that forgotten box of coins at home, because today we're talking about a United States quarter that many people completely overlook. This is the 1987 Washington quarter dollar, a coin that may look common at first glance but actually has an interesting story, surprising scarcity in higher condition, and a growing place in modern American coin collecting. Most people spend this coin without thinking twice, but collectors know that certain Washington quarters from the 1980s deserve a closer look, especially when condition, mint location, and preservation come into play. The Washington quarter is one of the longest-running coin designs in United States history. Introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, the design was so popular that it became a permanent part of U.S. coinage. By the time 1987 arrived, the Washington quarter had already been in circulation for more than 5 decades, and it was a familiar sight in everyday transactions across America. However, the year 1987 holds a special place because it falls within a period when mint sets were not produced for collectors, making high-quality examples harder to find today. The 1987 Washington quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, which is identified by the small D mint mark located on the front of the coin near Washington's ponytail. Millions of these quarters were produced for circulation, but despite the relatively high mintage numbers, many of these coins entered heavy everyday use. As a result, well-preserved examples are much scarcer than people expect. This is one of the main reasons why collectors actively search for clean, sharply struck 1987 D quarters today. Let's take a closer look at the design. On the front of the coin, you'll see a left-facing portrait of George Washington. This design was created by sculptor John Flanagan and remains one of the most recognizable images in American coinage. The word liberty appears at the top, while in God We Trust is displayed to the left. The year 1987 is shown at the bottom, with the Denver Mint marked nearby. While the design did not change in 1987, the quality of strikes during this era can vary, making some examples far more desirable than others. The back of the 1987 D Washington quarter features a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings, holding a bundle of arrows, symbolizing strength and readiness to defend freedom. Olive branches below the eagle represent peace. Above the eagle, you'll see the words, United States of America, and below it, quarter dollar. The phrase, E pluribus unum, is displayed above the eagle. This reverse design was used on Washington quarters for decades and is deeply tied to American history. Now let's talk about composition, because this is an important detail for collectors. The 1987 D Washington quarter is made of a copper-nickel-clad composition. It contains an outer layer of copper-nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This means it does not contain silver, unlike Washington quarters minted before 1965. However, just because a coin does not contain silver does not mean it lacks collector value. Condition, demand, and scarcity in high grades play a huge role in determining value. One of the most interesting aspects of the 1987 D quarter is its availability in higher condition. During 1987, the United States Mint did not release traditional mint sets for collectors. This resulted in fewer well-preserved coins being saved at the time of release. Many collectors had to rely on circulation fines, which naturally led to wear and damage over time. Because of this, uncirculated examples of the 1987 D Washington quarter are much harder to locate today compared to other years from the 1980s. When it comes to value, most worn examples of the 1987 D quarter are worth face value. However, coins that show minimal wear, strong details, and clean surfaces can be worth significantly more to collectors. Coins with sharp hair detail on Washington's portrait, full feather definition on the eagle, and minimal marks are especially desirable. Even small differences in condition can lead to noticeable differences in value. Collectors often look closely at strike quality when examining a 1987 D Washington quarter. Some examples show weak details, especially on Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers. Strongly struck coins with crisp features are more difficult to find and tend to command higher prices. This makes searching through rolls or old collections a rewarding experience for those who know what to look for. Another factor that adds interest to the 1987 D quarter is the possibility of errors and varieties. While major errors are rare, minor mint errors such as off-center strikes, clipped planches, or doubled details can occasionally be found. These error coins can be worth significantly more than standard examples, depending on the type and severity of the error. This is why collectors always recommend examining coins carefully under good lighting. The historical context of 1987 also adds depth to this coin. During the late 1980s, the United States was experiencing economic growth, and coinage production focused heavily on meeting circulation demand rather than collector quality. This practical approach led to fewer coins being saved in pristine condition, which directly impacts collector interest today. Coins from this era often tell a story of everyday American life, passing through countless hands before being rediscovered by collectors decades later. For new collectors, the 1987 D Washington quarter is an excellent entry point into modern US coin collecting. It's affordable, widely available in circulation, and offers a chance to learn about condition, strike quality, and preservation. For experienced collectors, finding a high-quality example can be a satisfying challenge that adds depth to a Washington quarter collection. If you're searching for this coin, start by checking old coin jars, bank rolls, and inherited collections. Pay attention to luster, surface marks, and overall eye appeal. Avoid cleaning the coin, as cleaning can reduce its value significantly. Original surfaces and natural toning are always preferred by collectors. The popularity of Washington quarters continues to grow, especially as more people become interested in coin collecting through online platforms and social media. Videos like this help bring attention to coins that were once ignored, and that increased interest can drive demand over time. The 1987 D. Washington quarter may not seem exciting at first glance, but its story, scarcity in top condition, and connection to American history make it worth a second look. As collectors complete date and mint mark sets, coins like the 1987 D become essential pieces. Its role in the broader Washington quarter series ensures that it will remain relevant in the hobby for years to come. While it may never reach the fame of early silver quarters, it represents an important chapter in modern US coinage. So the next time you receive change, don't dismiss that 1987 D quarter too quickly. Take a moment to examine it closely. You might be holding a coin that's far more interesting than you ever imagined. Coin collecting is about curiosity, history, and the thrill of discovery, and sometimes the most overlooked coins turn out to be the most rewarding. Coin number 5. Before you skip this video, take a moment and think about the loose change in your pocket, your drawer, or that old coin jar at home. One ordinary-looking quarter could be more interesting and valuable than you expect. Today we are talking about the 1980 D. Washington quarter dollar coin from the United States, a coin many people overlook, yet one that holds historical importance, collector interest, and hidden value potential that most people never realize. The Washington Quarter series is one of the most recognizable coin designs in American history. Introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, this design has remained a staple of U.S. coinage for decades. By the time 1980 arrived, the Washington Quarter was already a familiar part of everyday life, but that doesn't mean coins from this era are boring or worthless. In fact, the 1980 D. Washington Quarter tells an important story about American history, minting technology, and modern coin collecting. The 1980 D. Washington Quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, which is indicated by the small D mint mark found on the obverse side of the coin, just to the right of Washington's ponytail ribbon. Millions of quarters were produced at Denver in 1980, making this coin fairly common in circulation, but condition, errors, and special characteristics can dramatically affect its value. This quarter is composed of a copper-nickel-clad structure, which means it has an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This composition was introduced in 1965 when the United States transitioned away from silver coinage. As a result, the 1980 D quarter does not contain silver, but that does not eliminate its collector appeal. The obverse of the coin features John Flanagan's classic portrait of George Washington, facing left. The word "Liberty" appears at the top, while the motto, "In God We Trust," is placed to the left of Washington's neck. The date 1980 is positioned at the bottom. While this design remained unchanged for decades, small details such as strike quality, luster, and surface preservation can make a huge difference to collectors. On the reverse side, the coin displays a powerful heraldic eagle with wings spread wide, clutching arrows in its talons, symbolizing strength and defense. Below the eagle are olive branches representing peace. The inscriptions, United States of America, and quarter dollar, surround the design, along with the motto, E pluribus unum. This reverse design remained standard until the introduction of the state quarters program in 1999. In terms of face value, the 1980 D. Washington Quarter is worth 25 cents. However, value in the coin world goes far beyond face value. Most circulated examples are still worth only their face value, but uncirculated coins and error coins can be worth significantly more. Condition plays a critical role in determining the value of this coin. A heavily worn quarter that has been in circulation for decades may show flattened details, scratches, and dull surfaces. These coins usually trade at face value. However, coins that were saved early and never entered circulation can retain strong luster, sharp details, and clean surfaces, making them far more desirable to collectors. High-quality uncirculated 1980 D. Washington quarters can sell for several dollars, and in exceptional cases, even more. Coins with full, sharp strikes and minimal contact marks are especially sought after. The Denver Mint was known for producing strong strikes, but not every coin left the mint in perfect condition. One of the most exciting aspects of the 1980 D. Washington Quarter is the potential for mint errors. Error coins can be extremely valuable, even when the base coin is common. These errors occur during the minting process and can include off-center strikes, double strikes, clipped planches, and broad strikes. Off-center strikes happen when the coin blank is not properly aligned during striking, resulting in part of the design missing. Depending on how dramatic the misalignment is, these coins can be worth many times face value. Double strikes occur when a coin is struck more than once, creating overlapping or shifted designs. These errors are visually striking and highly collectible. Another error collectors look for is a clipped planchet, where a portion of the coin is missing due to a flaw in the metal strip used to create coin blanks. These coins are unusual and immediately catch the eye. Broad strikes, where the coin is struck without the retaining collar, cause the coin to spread out and appear wider than normal, often with a distorted edge. There are also minor errors such as die cracks, die chips, and cuts. These appear as raised lines or blobs of metal on the coin's surface and are the result of damage to the minting dies. While small, these features can add collector interest and increase value, especially when they are clear and well-defined. The year 1980 itself is historically significant in the United States. It was a time of economic uncertainty, inflation concerns, and major political change. Coins minted during this period circulated heavily, making well-preserved examples less common today than many people realize. This historical context adds depth to the coin and makes it more than just spare change. Many people assume that only very old coins are valuable, but modern coins like the 1980 D-quarter prove that age is not the only factor. Rarity, condition, demand, and unique characteristics all play a role. As more collectors focus on complete date and mint mark sets of Washington quarters, interest in coins like the 1980 D continues to grow. If you are checking your own coins, pay close attention to the mint mark, the overall condition, and any unusual features. Look for strong detail in Washington's hair, clear lettering, and a well-defined eagle on the reverse. Also examine the edges and surfaces for anything that looks unusual or out of place. Storage is another important consideration. If you believe you have a high-quality or error example, keep it protected from further wear. Avoid cleaning the coin, as cleaning can damage the surface and reduce value. Natural surfaces are always preferred by collectors. The Washington Quarter series remains one of the most widely collected coin series in the United States. Its long history, iconic design, and accessibility make it appealing to both beginners and experienced collectors. The 1980 D Washington Quarter fits perfectly into this tradition, offering an affordable entry point with the possibility of hidden value. Even if your coin turns out to be worth only face value, it still represents a tangible piece of American history. Every quarter has passed through countless hands, witnessed decades of change, and played a role in everyday commerce. That alone gives it meaning beyond its monetary worth. So the next time you receive change, take a closer look before you spend it. That ordinary quarter might be a 1980 D Washington Quarter with strong detail, uncirculated surfaces, or a rare mint error. Coins like these remind us that treasure doesn't always come from ancient times or distant places. Sometimes, it's hiding in plain sight. Coin number 6. Before you scroll away or drop your change on the counter, stop for a moment and take a closer look at your quarters, because one ordinary-looking coin from 1991 could be hiding more value than you ever imagined. Today we are talking about the 1991 D Washington Quarter dollar from the United States, a coin that millions of people have handled without realizing its true potential. While most people think modern quarters are only worth face value, collectors know that condition, mint errors, and small details can turn a simple coin into something far more valuable. The Washington Quarter has a long and respected history in American coinage, first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. By 1991, the design had already become one of the most recognized coins in the world. The obverse features a strong left-facing portrait of George Washington, originally designed by John Flanagan, with the word "Liberty" along the top edge, the motto, "In God We Trust," to the left, and the date 1991 at the bottom. The reverse shows the iconic eagle with outstretched wings, perched on a bundle of arrows and framed by olive branches, symbolizing both strength and peace. The 1991 D Quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, which is identified by the small D mint mark located on the obverse, just to the right of Washington's ponytail. This mint produced a very large number of quarters in 1991, meaning the coin is still commonly found in circulation today. Because of this high mintage, many people assume the coin has no collectible value at all. However, that assumption can be a costly mistake. Most 1991 D Washington quarters are made of a copper-nickel-clad composition, consisting of an outer layer of copper-nickel bonded to a pure copper core. The coin weighs approximately 5.67 grams and measures 24.3 millimeters in diameter. While there is no silver in this coin, value does not come from metal alone. Instead, it comes from condition, rarity within high grades, and minting errors that escaped quality control. In worn or heavily circulated condition, 1991 D quarter is typically worth only face value. However, once you start looking at uncirculated examples, the story changes dramatically. Coins that show no wear, sharp details, strong luster, and clean surfaces can sell for significantly more than 25 cents. The difference between a common coin and a valuable one often comes down to how carefully it was handled and stored over the last 3 decades. Collectors pay close attention to strike quality on 1991 D quarters. Some coins were struck weakly, especially on Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers. Others were struck with exceptional detail, showing crisp lines and a bold, well-defined design. Quarters with strong strikes and smooth fields are far more desirable and can command higher premiums. Another major factor that can increase the value of a 1991 D Washington quarter is the presence of mint errors. Error coins are created during the minting process and are highly sought after by collectors. One of the most popular errors to look for is an off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank is not properly aligned during striking, causing part of the design to be missing or shifted. Depending on how dramatic the error is, off-center 1991 D quarters can sell for many times their face value. Double strike errors are another exciting possibility. These occur when a coin is struck more than once by the dies, resulting in overlapping or duplicated design elements. If you notice doubling on the lettering, date, or Washington's profile that is clearly raised and not just damage, you may have something special. Die cracks and die breaks are also worth watching for. These appear as raised lines on the surface of the coin and are caused by cracks in the minting die. While small cracks are fairly common, large or dramatic die breaks can significantly increase collector interest. Some collectors specialize in these varieties and are willing to pay strong prices for visually striking examples. Another valuable error type is the clipped planchette. This happens when the metal strip used to punch out coin blanks is misaligned, resulting in a coin with a curved or straight section missing from the edge. A genuine clipped planchette will show smooth metal flow and distortion near the missing area, not sharp or rough damage. You should also examine the edges of your 1991 D quarter carefully. A missing reeded edge or partial reeding can indicate an error during the striking process. These types of edge errors are less common and can be very appealing to collectors who focus on unusual minting mistakes. Condition remains one of the most important factors in determining value. High-grade 1991 D quarters that have never been circulated and retain their original mint luster are much scarcer than people realize. Many coins that were saved over the years still have bag marks, scratches, or dull surfaces that limit their appeal. Truly clean, well-preserved examples stand out immediately when compared side by side with average coins. Original luster should appear as a bright, cartwheel-like shine that moves across the surface when the coin is tilted under light. If the coin looks flat, dull, or gray, it has likely been circulated or improperly cleaned. Cleaning a coin almost always reduces its value, even if it looks shiny afterward. Collectors strongly prefer coins with natural surfaces and original finish. Storage also plays a major role in preservation. Coins kept in pockets, jars, or loose containers are far more likely to show wear and damage. Coins stored carefully in protective holders or albums tend to survive in much better condition. If you believe you have a high-quality 1991 D quarter, handle it only by the edges and avoid touching the surfaces. Many people overlook modern quarters entirely, assuming that only older coins can be valuable. This mindset causes countless collectible coins to be spent or ignored every day. The truth is that demand from collectors continues to grow, especially for clean, high-grade examples and interesting era coins from the late 20th century. The 1991 D. Washington quarter also holds historical value as part of the final years before the major design changes that came later. Just a few years after 1991, the Washington quarter would eventually transition into new series that changed how Americans viewed and collected quarters. Coins from this period represent the end of a long-standing classic era. If you are searching through your pocket change, bank rolls, or old coin jars, take your time when examining quarters dated 1991 with a D mint mark. Look closely at the date, mint mark, lettering, and overall condition. Use a magnifying glass if possible and compare your coin to images of known errors and high-quality examples. Even if you don't find a rare error right away, learning how to evaluate coins builds valuable knowledge that can pay off in the future. One great discovery can more than make up for the time spent searching. Many collectors started exactly this way, by checking everyday coins and slowly building experience. The 1991 D. Washington quarter is a perfect example of why you should never underestimate modern coinage. What looks common at first glance may hold hidden value beneath the surface. Whether it's a sharply struck uncirculated example or a fascinating mint error, this coin proves that treasure doesn't always come from the distant past. Before you skip this video, take a moment and think about the coins sitting in your pocket, in a drawer, or in an old jar at home. Some of the most overlooked US coins come from the 1990s, and today we are focusing on one of the most common yet surprisingly interesting coins in circulation, the 1995 P. Washington quarter dollar. While millions were made, collectors know that condition, errors, and small details can turn an everyday quarter into something much more desirable. The Washington quarter has been a part of American history since 1932, created to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. By the time 1995 arrived, the quarter had already gone through decades of design consistency, making even modern issues important for collectors who aim to complete full date and mint mark sets. The 1995 P quarter represents the Philadelphia Mint's production during a period when coin collecting was transitioning into the modern era, just before the famous state quarters program began. The obverse of the 1995 P. Washington quarter features the familiar left-facing portrait of George Washington. His hair is tied back with a ribbon, and the sculpting style reflects a strong, dignified appearance that Americans had grown accustomed to for decades. The word "Liberty" appears at the top, while "In God We Trust" is placed to the left of Washington's neck. Just below the portrait, you will find the date 1995. Because this coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, there is no mint mark visible on the obverse, which is normal for Philadelphia quarters of this era. Turning to the reverse, the design shows a powerful bald eagle with wings spread wide, clutching a bundle of arrows to symbolize strength and readiness, while olive branches beneath the eagle represent peace. The inscriptions, United States of America, and quarter dollar, frame the design, and E pluribus unum appears above the eagle. This reverse design remained standard until it was replaced by the State Quarters series in 1999, making the 1995 P quarter part of the final generation of classic Washington quarters. The composition of the 1995 P Washington quarter is a copper-nickel-clad structure. It consists of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. The coin weighs 5.67 grams, has a diameter of 24.3 millimeters, and a reeded edge. While it contains no silver, its value and appeal come from condition, demand, and collectability rather than precious metal content. In 1995, the Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of Washington quarters. Because of this high mintage, most examples found in circulation today are only worth face value. However, collectors know that mintage alone does not determine value. Coins that have never circulated, showing sharp details, full mint luster, and minimal marks, are far more desirable than worn examples. High-quality uncirculated 1995 P quarters are actively sought by collectors building complete Washington quarter albums. One of the most important factors that can increase the value of a 1995 P Washington quarter is its condition. Coins that were pulled from mint rolls and carefully stored since the 1990s often retain strong eye appeal. These coins may show bright surfaces, clean fields, and sharp details in Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers. Even though they are modern coins, finding one in truly pristine condition is harder than many people realize. Collectors also pay close attention to strike quality. Some 1995 P quarters were struck more sharply than others. Well-struck examples show clear separation in the hair details above Washington's ear and strong definition in the eagle's wings and chest. Coins with weak strikes may appear flat or dull in these areas, which lowers their desirability. Error coins are another exciting area of interest when it comes to the 1995 P Washington quarter. While major errors are not common, they do exist and can dramatically increase a coin's value. Off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing due to misalignment during striking, highly collectible. Double strikes, where the coin was struck more than once, can also be valuable if the doubling is clearly visible. Die cracks and die chips are smaller errors that collectors often search for. These appear as raised lines or blobs of metal on the surface of the coin, caused by damage to the minting dies. While minor die cracks are fairly common and usually add little value, dramatic examples can attract collector interest. Another variety collectors watch for is doubling in the lettering or date. True double die errors are created during the die-making process and appear as clear, rounded doubling rather than flat, machine-like doubling. While strong double dies are rare for the 1995 P quarter, any noticeable and consistent doubling across multiple letters can make a coin stand out. The historical context of the 1995 P Washington quarter also adds to its appeal. This coin was minted during a time of economic growth in the United States, just before the major redesign of circulating coinage that would capture public attention nationwide. Many collectors view 1995 as part of the final chapter of the classic Washington quarter era, making these coins an important bridge between traditional designs and modern circulating commemoratives. For new collectors, the 1995 P quarter is an excellent entry point into US coin collecting. It is affordable, easy to find, and offers many learning opportunities. By examining these coins closely, collectors can train their eyes to spot differences in condition, strike, and surface quality. Even experienced collectors enjoy searching rolls of quarters from the 1990s in hopes of finding an exceptional example. Proper storage is essential if you believe you have a high-quality 1995 P Washington quarter. Coins should be handled by the edges only to avoid fingerprints, which can permanently damage surfaces. Using protective holders or albums helps preserve the coin's appearance over time. Avoid cleaning coins, as cleaning can significantly reduce their collector value. While most circulated 1995 P quarters are worth only face value, uncirculated examples and error coins can sell for significantly more depending on quality and demand. Prices fluctuate based on the market, but collectors are consistently willing to pay premiums for coins that stand out from the average. The popularity of the Washington quarter series ensures that interest in coins like the 1995 P issue remains strong. Collectors who focus on complete date and mint mark sets will always need this coin, and high-quality examples will continue to be desirable. Even though it may not contain silver or have a low mintage, its place in US numismatic history makes it worth paying attention to. So the next time you receive change or come across an old roll of quarters, take a closer look. That 1995 P Washington quarter might not seem special at first glance, but condition, strike, and potential errors can transform an ordinary coin into a collectible piece of American history. Coin collecting is about patience, knowledge, and curiosity, and sometimes the most common coins can offer the biggest surprises. Before you scroll away or drop your spare change on the counter, take a moment, because the 1978 Washington quarter dollar might be hiding more value than most people realize. This coin looks ordinary at first glance, but collectors know that certain Washington quarters from this era can surprise you with their history, varieties, and collectible potential. Today we are diving deep into the 1978 Washington quarter, exploring its background, design, mint details, errors, metal composition, rarity factors, and what makes some examples far more desirable than others. The Washington quarter series began in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first president of the United States. By the time 1978 arrived, the Washington quarter had already been in circulation for over 4 decades and had become one of the most familiar coins in American pockets. The 1978 quarter represents the classic era of U.S. circulating coinage before major design changes and special programs reshaped the quarter in later years. The obverse of the 1978 Washington quarter features a left-facing portrait of George Washington. His hair is tied back in a queue, and his expression reflects dignity and strength. The word, liberty, appears at the top of the coin, while the motto, "In God We Trust," is displayed to the left of Washington's neck. The date, 1978, is clearly visible at the bottom. This design was created by sculptor John Flanagan and remains one of the most iconic images in U.S. coin history. On the reverse side, the coin displays a proud bald eagle with wings spread wide, clutching a bundle of arrows in its talons, symbolizing strength and readiness to defend. Below the eagle are two olive branches, representing peace. Surrounding the design are the words, United States of America, and quarter dollar, with the motto, E pluribus unum, placed above the eagle. This reverse design was used for decades and is instantly recognizable to collectors and non-collectors alike. The 1978 Washington quarter was produced at two main United States mint locations. Coins without a mint mark were struck in Philadelphia, while those bearing a D mint mark were produced in Denver. In 1978, proof versions were also made specifically for collectors, featuring sharper details and mirror-like surfaces. These proof coins were not intended for circulation and are usually found in special collector sets. In terms of composition, the 1978 Washington quarter is made of a copper-nickel-clad structure. It contains an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This composition was introduced in 1965 when the U.S. Mint removed silver from circulating quarters. As a result, the 1978 quarter does not contain silver, but that does not mean it lacks collector interest or value. Many people assume that only silver coins are worth collecting, but that is far from the truth. Condition, rarity, demand, and errors play a huge role in determining a coin's value. While millions of 1978 quarters were produced, finding one in exceptionally well-preserved condition is far more difficult than you might think. Most examples were heavily circulated, meaning they show wear, scratches, and loss of detail. Uncirculated 1978 Washington quarters with strong original luster and sharp details are far more desirable to collectors. Coins that were pulled from rolls early or stored carefully over the years can stand out dramatically compared to worn pocket change examples. Even subtle differences in strike quality can make a noticeable difference in collectability. One of the most exciting aspects of the 1978 Washington quarter is the possibility of mint errors and varieties. Error coins are created during the minting process and can include off-center strikes, double strikes, clipped planches, and broad strikes. These errors are not common, and when found, they can significantly increase a coin's value. Another area collectors focus on is double die varieties. These occur when the coin's design is impressed more than once at slightly different angles, creating a doubling effect on letters, numbers, or design elements. On 1978 quarters, doubling may sometimes be seen on the date, the word liberty, or the motto, "In God We Trust." While not all doubling adds value, clear and strong examples are highly sought after. Strike quality also matters greatly. Some 1978 quarters show weak strikes, particularly on Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers. Coins with full detail in these areas are much harder to find and are considered premium examples. Strong strikes often indicate fresh dies and careful minting, which collectors appreciate. Proof 1978 Washington quarters are another important part of this story. These coins were specially produced with polished dies and planches, resulting in sharp details and reflective surfaces. Proof quarters were sold directly to collectors and were not used in everyday commerce. Over time, some proof coins have developed toning, which can range from light gold hues to deep blues and purples. Attractive natural toning can add to a coin's desirability. When evaluating a 1978 Washington quarter, collectors pay close attention to surface quality. Scratches, contact marks, and discoloration can reduce appeal, while clean fields and crisp devices enhance it. Edge quality is also important, as nicks along the rim can impact overall appearance. Historical context adds another layer of interest to the 1978 quarter. This coin was minted during a time of economic change in the United States, with inflation concerns and shifts in manufacturing and technology. While the quarter itself remained traditional in design, it represents a snapshot of American life in the late 1970s. For new collectors, the 1978 Washington Quarter is an excellent entry point into coin collecting. It is affordable, widely available, and offers opportunities to learn about mint marks, errors, varieties, and condition grading without a large financial commitment. Searching rolls, old collections, or inherited change jars can be both educational and exciting. Long-term collectors often include high-quality 1978 quarters as part of date and mint mark sets. Completing a Washington Quarter set requires patience and attention to detail, especially when aiming for well-preserved examples. Each coin tells part of a larger story, and the 1978 issue plays an important role in that narrative. It is also worth noting that demand for classic US coinage continues to grow as new collectors enter the hobby. Educational content, online marketplaces, and social media have made coin collecting more accessible than ever before. Coins like the 1978 Washington Quarter benefit from this renewed interest, especially when examples stand out due to condition or rarity. If you have a 1978 quarter, take the time to examine it closely. Look at the date, check for a mint mark, study the details on Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers, and inspect the surfaces for unusual features. Even small differences can make a big impact in the world of coin collecting. The Washington Quarter is more than just spare change. It represents American history, artistry, and craftsmanship. The 1978 Washington Quarter may not look extraordinary at first glance, but within the right context, it becomes a fascinating collectible with stories to tell.